Hi, so I'm a little out of breath because I just cycled up to the mountain here behind the house. I've been coming here every night after the baby goes to sleep, and it's been lovely and warm. Usually been out, it's really cold but still sunny and gorgeous. And I usually sit up there on a little bit of moss, but I've come down, found a little sheltered hollow away from the wind because the wind is really cold. This is the first chance I've had today to kind of think about this. But I was thinking that I might talk about the Empress today. This is a card that I have a lot of complicated feelings around. So you can see the Empress here. She's in the major arcana again. So again, she's one of the characters that the Fool would meet on his journey. And she's card number 3. And as you can see, she's in this sort of very verdant wheat field, and she has this lovely forest behind her and a stream, a gentle sort of brook behind her here, this heart and this feminine symbol. She has a crown of stars. She's holding a scepter. She's this card that represents a lot of kind of this sort of fruitful, nourishing, maternal kind of energy. And in the super binary, gender binary way that tarot talks about, a very feminine energy. Although, as I've said before, when I try and see it more as less as like the biological sex or gender, and more like the sort of like patriarchal, societal, cultural understanding we have always had about what, or not always had, but this society has led, this culture has led us to have certain thoughts about what is feminine and what is masculine. And this card is feminine in what like our society says feminine should be. And that's part of my problem with it. So I sometimes I feel like these videos might be like a little bit like too much information for you all, but I'm kind of hoping that if I'm honest and sharing my stories and my connection to the cards, that you might be able to kind of find your own connections and how the cards might relate to you. So I've always wanted children. I always wanted to be a mother, and I think before I had my daughter, before I was pregnant, I really sort of like idolized women who were pregnant. I thought it was this incredible, magical, fertile, beautiful, goddess-like kind of thing to be doing. And I thought that when I was pregnant, that's kind of what I thought this is what I would be, you know. I had all these ideas about what it was going to be like. It took a little while to conceive. We were actually on our way to kind of we went to the first meeting with an IVF clinic when I realised a couple of weeks later that I was pregnant. It just happened anyway. So, but pretty much from then on, and because we were with an IVF clinic, we had all these scans and everything. So I knew I was pregnant like straight away, like at 4.5, 5 weeks, or as early as you possibly can. And I had quite a difficult pregnancy, not in the grand scheme of things, but I was very sick from kind of 5 weeks onwards, pretty much. I had like terrible morning sickness. I lost a lot of weight. I was losing weight so fast that I wasn't really putting on weight anymore, and they thought that the baby was there was some problems with the baby, but actually it was just that I was like so sick. Hang on, I'm just going to move this so that you're not not getting the wind. Let's try that. So I'm just navigating, not sitting in sheep poo. It wasn't this kind of fertile goddess-like place that I thought it would be. I would go to sort of prenatal yoga classes, and the women there would say, "Oh, wait till you get to the second trimester. It's amazing. You'll feel like Superwoman." And I didn't. I just felt sick and anxious and uncomfortable and achy and horrible the whole way through. So it was a real kind of like letdown for me, a bursting of this bubble that I'd had. And then when I had the baby as well, I just didn't feel like how I thought I should feel. I didn't feel like a mother in the sense of what I'd thought a mother was. This kind of Mother Earth sort of like serene, graceful, a peaceful, nurturing, kind, selfless woman. And that wasn't me at all. I made choices that were sometimes the best thing for me. Not necessarily like detriment of the baby, but like I put myself first in some ways, and I still feel guilty about some of that. Like I didn't continue breastfeeding, I didn't enjoy it, and it was very painful, and it wasn't really working. So I made the decision to stop. But that was something really hard for me to do because I had been kind of conditioned, I think, to believe that being a mother, being a woman means being a mother ultimately, and being a mother means being completely selfless and completely warm, and you know, it's like you kind of get like lobotomized, and suddenly everything that you were before, everything that you wanted, that part of your brain is just kind of gone, and now all you need and want is this child. And I didn't have that experience. I love being a mother and I love my child, but as I've said before, I still love all the things that I used to do that I still find it hard to find the time for. And I think it's difficult because a lot of the narrative around this is how, especially with the whole like natural birth movement and breastfeeding, it's to sort of like encourage women to do this, but it's almost gone the other way, where it's kind of like, this is how you can be strong. Look how it's like strong mama you are doing this. And then it can make people who aren't performing in that way feel really like they're failing. And the thing that I'm learning, I haven't learned it like it's done now, but the thing that I'm learning is how there are lots of different ways to be a mother, and there are lots of different ways to be a woman. And I had, you know, always thought I was a very sort of liberal, you know, feminist woman, and yet I still had kind of fallen prey to these tricks, are tricks of the patriarchy, you know, like, it's great to encourage women to breastfeed. It's brilliant if you can breastfeed. I mean, it's like the cheapest way to do it. You don't have to buy loads of formula. And it's like a wonderful way to bond with your child if it works for you. But if only the mother breastfeeds, then only the mother has to be there all the time looking after the child, you know? The mother has to be at home. She has to be not working. There are lots of kind of like pros and cons to everything. And some of it I feel is a kind of like trap set by the patriarchy of like brainwashing us into thinking that there is only this one way of being a woman and one way of being a mother. So the thing I'm thinking about with this card more and more is how to find the unfeminine woman in there, and how to find the different kinds of women that could be represented in this card, if that's possible, you know, and to kind of find more of a representation of myself and what I feel. You know, this is crazy because like I'm talking about this now and I feel like, oh God, are you all going to hate me and are you all going to think that I'm terrible? A, because I'm going like blah, 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 all about my problems and my issues and my like experiences and traumas and stuff, but also because I have said things about what kind of mother I am or want to be, and that might make you think that I am less of a person, less of a woman in some way. I don't know. Even then, see, I'm like second guessing and worrying myself. I'm like thinking, should I post this? Should I actually do it? But then I want to kind of like help contribute to this narrative. It's certainly not a narrative that I have like started, but there are women talking about this, and I'd like to add my voice to that and to, you know, help support the women who are like me, who, you know, are mothers but don't feel that like hashtag blessed. You know, like I fell in love with my child the moment I saw them. You know, like this is all I've ever wanted. Like. Because it's not this like black and white, it's not this binary. There is so many shades in there. It's so much more complicated. It's so much more beautiful, you know. It's so much more like beautiful gradients and shades and ups and downs. And certainly like I know that pretty much the moment that not even before I found out I was pregnant, I felt in so many ways like I'd been split in two. I felt so many conflicting emotions at the same time. It's this weird time of duality where you can be so pleased and so overjoyed and then so sad because you know what you're about to give up as well as what you're about to gain. And I don't think there's anything positive or helpful about denying that it is hard to be a mother, and it is hard to be selfless in that way. And I certainly felt a kind of loss of my childhood and loss of my innocence, and a sort of final like cutting off of those ties, that like I could not be this needy sort of innocent, naive child anymore, because I had to look after my child and be there for her. And it's a really difficult time. There's incredible highs and incredible lows, and dazzling light, and like the deepest chasms, or like deep sea chasms of darkness, and they just come and go like so quickly, in my experience anyway. And everyone has different experiences. I know that there are women out there who love every moment of being mothers. I know there are women who are like, I love being pregnant, it's the best thing ever. And I was like, yeesh, really? Well, God, like, we're obviously doing this very differently, because I'm like hating it, So, there are so many different ways. And why are we telling people that there is just one way? Why are we kind of just saying this is the way to be a woman, to be a mother, that to be soft and warm and curvy, but only in the right places, and giving of everything about ourselves? Can't we be both? Can't we be giving and nurturing, and also have boundaries and be protective of ourselves and what we need and want? So that's my rant about the Empress, which is a card I do love. I just have conflicting feelings that I'm kind of trying to figure out, I guess. All right, I think I'll post this. I don't know, maybe I won't. We'll see. All right, bye.